Part of the reason I know I was supposed to be gay, like I was destined to be gay, is because I've only ever kissed 2 girls in my life, and the first one is now a lesbian, and the second one transitioned to a man, like, right after the kiss. So clearly I was doing something wrong in that area.
Well, he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and I look at him.
Yeah, I can tell you work out. Flex, make a muscle, make a muscle. You better control those guns. I love the playlist they chose. Raise the roof, raise the roof, raise the wages of everybody who works to pay for this roof. By the way, my friend is gay. My friend is game to meet us after lunch with his husband. Yeah, I'll have a BLT. All you have is turkey bacon? Abort! I kid. I'll go with plan B. You know what? Never mind the BLT. You can cancel my student loans. I mean, my order. Cancel my order. I was going to say the same thing. I love the vibes. I love the music. I love the atmosphere. Right? Like, you're picking up what I'm putting down, right? Like, this is my favorite place in the whole wide world. Earth is not flat.
Some of us, I don't want to name names, make pretty bad throat noises when they drink. And it makes me think that the throat is...
Is it me?
No.
Is it me?
It's not Travis.
The SAT is not only a stupid, problematic test, but it's literally transphobic. I was tutoring it last summer and I had to explain to my student why they still use him or her as a nondescript singular pronoun. So like instead of saying the winner will receive their trophy at the finish line, you have to say the winner will receive his or her trophy at the finish line, or else you'll be marked wrong. And there are several problems with this, starting with the fact that the singular they is grammatically correct in this situation. It's been used since Chaucer in the 1300s, frequently shows up in Shakespeare, and is accepted by the AP Style Guide. Second, that shouldn't even matter because most people would use they in this context. It's intuitive, sounds better, and is more inclusive of people outside the gender binary. Third, the College Board itself doesn't follow these guidelines. This tweet would actually be marked incorrect in the SAT since you're supposed to say, tag an AP student to wish him or her luck for his or her exam starting next week. That's literally what they would want you to say on the test. Like, what is the purpose of teaching millions of kids to say his or her when your own Twitter account agrees that their makes more sense? The only outcome is that more people are going to grow up normalizing trans-exclusionary language. And beyond that, the entire SAT grammar section is a vehicle for imposing prescriptive values tied to a very specific socioeconomic class, which is why I'm so glad that colleges are starting to phase it out.
These roads of flames are catching a fire.
Is everything really all that embarrassing and cringe, or are you just a miserable bitch?
Yeah! Ask yourself that question so we don't have to suffer for you.
To be cringe is to be free.
Toodles.
Really, what's your major? Oh, it's mathematics. Wow, you're so smart. I could never do that.
I cannot keep having the same conversation.
Is there something you quote that is completely unquotable, like you shouldn't remember as much of it?
Should someone have to have a government-issued license to drive a car? Hell no. What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster? A license to drive? You know, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
We're native. Of course we're gonna be late. Native, we're gonna be the loudest laugh in the room. We're native. Of course we know every line to smoke signals. We're native. Of course we're gonna call our grandma and ask for a recipe. We're native. Of course we like guys with long hair. We're native. Of course I'm gonna ask you who your grandparents are. We're native. Of course we put our head back when we laugh. We're native. Of course we're gonna snag at a powwow. We're native. Of course I'm gonna check if you're my cousin first.
The other day I posted a video talking about how I think it's wrong that prosthetic companies who make indispensable products for prosthetics put their branding on the products, then become the extension of a person, an amputee like myself, because that's what a prosthesis is to someone. It's an extension of themselves. So it's not right to become a billboard for a company who's taken advantage of a product that is indispensable to you to slap their name on it. Hundreds of people commented, can you paint over it? Can you draw over it? It's not the idea. So this liner costs $300. Would you even spend $300 on a t-shirt that has a big logo on it that you don't like? No. The idea is not to have to paint over it or Sharpie over it and have yet another thing on you. Have this expensive thing that's meant to be a part of you and then get it, and then on top of that have to deal with fixing it and adding yet another thing on it, having still a stamp on it. Because keeping these simple would just provide the most freedom for the wearer in order to accept the entire device as their own. Again, these are very pricey things and you don't want them looking like, you don't want some peeling paint, bleeding Sharpie. I don't see that as a solution. That's a Band-Aid.
I am so exhausted. That sucks. I've heard resting helps with that. I can't rest. I haven't gotten anything done. Why haven't you gotten anything done? Because I'm exhausted. So what are you gonna do about that? I'm going to exist in a state of paralysis where I neither rest nor get anything done. That's not gonna help. Why are we doing that? I was taught that resting is bad, either directly or indirectly, through my inability to live up to unfair expectations placed on me as a child. Okay, but you're not a child anymore. I know, but now I view the world through the lens of trauma, and I constantly believe I'm behind or in trouble and that everyone else has things more figured out than me. Everybody's just figuring things out as they go. There's a lot of people in the same position as you. So what the fuck do I do? Buddy, we've been over this. Do I gotta say it again? Do I have to sit with my feelings again? And like notice where the feelings are on my body and maybe move my body in a way that expresses them. And engage with activities that are uplifting. And remember, be kind. And be kind to myself. I know, is this just your answer to everything? Well, does it work? But it takes forever. The time will pass anyways.
I grew up thinking that rich people, there's a rat in my shirt, thinking that rich people were people who like had a pool or like a big dog, and like if they went on vacation, their dad could come and didn't have to work and stay home. But then the irony here is I started going to punk shows, and at a punk show is where I met my first group of rich people ever. Like, which is just, that's just, how many layers of irony is that? But I met like people with like pet horses and like super nice cars that their parents paid for them. And I didn't think those people actually existed, because like where I grew up, people got their Christmas presents for Toys for Tots. And my boyfriend grew up like kind of in the boonies, really far from me, and there was only one high school, so there were a lot of rich kids there. And I went to a really dense like city high school, so there were only kids from the city that I lived in. But he had a lot of friends that were rich just because they were the kids at his school. And one time I got really snowed in up by his house, and it is like no street lights and stuff, so could not leave, super dangerous to leave. What do you want, curly rat? So I had to sleep over. I couldn't sleep over his house because mom was like, absolutely no girls allowed. So I slept over his best friend's house, who I didn't really talk to that much, but I thought she was like normal. You know, like normal family, no pet horses kind of thing, because she was always like talking about like anti-capitalism, sticking it to the man, like blah blah blah. But then she would turn around and be like, when I get my degree, I'm gonna make 6 figures, I'm gonna have 10 cars, I'm gonna have all these nice things, I'm used to nice things, I like nice things. And I don't know, nice things to me meant like your car worked or something, because like, I mean, I figured like she drove a luxury car, but my car's like kind of nice, I guess. But I figured she was just like me and like really, really loved her car, because like the Jeep's nice because I take care of it, and love it more than anything in the whole world. but I just figured she was kind of like that, like a car guy. And then I went to her house to sleep there because of the snowstorm, and she immediately was like bragging about her nice things, like showing me around her like stuff and being like, look at my balcony, look at my other balcony, look at my other balcony. And I just couldn't believe that that was the girl I was hearing being like, yeah, anti-capitalism, anti-consumerism, like what? But that's like North Jersey punk for you, I guess.
I don't understand why like cis straight people hate gender transition but love house flipping shows. Like, it's basically the same thing. I'm just the property and the brother.
Slipping through my fingers all the time, I try to capture.
This adaptive device got a lot of attention and lots of questions, so here are some responses. First, this device is for people with disabilities who might not be able to hold a pen. You can use this device with both your left and right hand. This device works best with thinner markers and pens. And lastly, all the files are free on PrintLab's website. If you see something you don't understand, it might help a disabled person.
Just to watch somebody suffer. Maybe I should get some sleep.
Like, black people are notorious for naming their children 25-letter names that they're never going to get even pronounced right, let alone spelled right. Like, why would you do that?
After the Civil War, many recently freed slaves took a last name like Freedman or Freeman. Others took the last name of their slave masters. Some because they had to swiftly give a name to their newly acquired citizenship. Others with the hopes that they may be reunited with family who have been sold or separated during the institution of slavery. My mother's maiden name is Beatty, spelled B-A-T-T-I-E. Her family is from Mississippi. My grandmother's name is Bessie Beatty. Her mother, my great-grandmother, is named Elizabeth Beatty. In 1850, during the US Census, they do not list a person's property, just the names of slave owners and the count of the slaves. In Mississippi, there was a woman by the name of Elizabeth Beatty, spelled B-E-A-T-Y, who owned over 50 slaves. And I wonder if this is the cotton plantation my family roots grew from. I wonder if this is the name my ancestors placed aside their papers and fled the plantation with. Is there a magnolia tree down in Panola, Mississippi that has all of my family's blood? Williams is the most common last name for Black folks. John Williams of the Louisiana plantation owned over 218 Black people. After Williams, there's Johnson, then Smith, Jones, Brown, Jackson. Racial traumas and triggers are a formal greeting when we call our oppressor's name to introduce ourselves. When our names are a historical leash. Every time I meet a Black person with the last name Beatty, I wonder if we are finally attending the family reunion. Every time I meet a white person with the last name Beatty, I wonder if they know what their family has done, what abuse has allowed them their breath. What a privilege to know which end of the whipping whip has your name on it, to know exactly what your name is attached to have a name embroidered on the bedroom door instead of the quarters. What a privilege on the job application, at the bank, at the airport, in the emergency room. And people wonder about Black names, why the names aren't shorter, why the runaway syllables aren't easier to catch, why our names chime like music when they nature verse between lobes about why we name our children after cars, after movement, after freedom, about why black names are always spelled with distinction, while black names always have a flair. It's because countries who declare independence get to name themselves, because niggas will always know reclamation. And when our names do not have your lineage, when our names are not what you expect, then what did you expect? For us to introduce ourselves, still running. For us to shake hands, still dripping the blood you drew.